What's good, everybody? Icon here, going over WWE Payback. As promised, got my Hurt Business t-shirt on. I'm all in, and we're looking forward to a good pay-per-view tonight, hopefully. SummerSlam was very good. I did enjoy it. We got, the Triple Threat Universal title match. No WWE title match tonight. No Intercontinental title match. No SmackDown Tag Team title match. But we do have a lot of good matches. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about this pay-per-view. Let's go through it, and we'll start things off with the pre-show match, which is the women's tag. So to kick off the pre-show was Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott versus the Iconics. Good match to have on Payback, especially because these four women have actually had a beef and they've had a feud. So for someone to get their payback was very appropriate. One thing about the match that I didn't like, and it's not the match itself, but it's honestly like the storyline between the four of them. I was never a fan of the whole teasing deception between Liv and Ruby. Because I don't see the point in that. I don't understand, what's the purpose. I don't understand, what we're getting out of this. And it's like nobody believes it. Even, during the match, there was the spot where, Billie Kay had hit Liv Morgan from behind, but they tried to lie and say that Ruby hit Liv, and then Liv believed her. And I'm like, come on, you don't really believe that. Nobody believed. The girl was beat up. She's on the ring, beat up, trying to pull her lifeless corpse to the corner to get a tag. There's no legitimate reason on this planet why she would hit you from behind. And then Liv plays it off I don't know what to do. But then in the end, they got it together. The two of them hit a finishing move, which is a combination of both of their finishers. They pinned the Iconics, and Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott have officially got the Iconics off their plate. They're now, moving forward as a team. As they said at the announce table after the match was over, I live to Riott and I Riott to live. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes of that. I hope the two of them do go for the women's tag team championships after all this is over, and I hope that the whole dissension between the two of them is over. I just want to see the two of them be a team, be a unit, go after the belts, and then hopefully get it, and then, let's let their careers elevate, because I really enjoy both of these girls, and I want to see them doing good going forward. So for the first match that opened the pay-per-view was Apollo Crews defending the United States Championship against the almighty Bobby Lashley, and we're just going to go ahead and say the winner and new United States Champion. In honor, this is why I bought this. This is exactly why I got this. We in business, baby. I'm all in. Hurt Business. Bobby Lashley is the new United States Champion. And throughout the entire match, they actually let Apollo get a shine on. They actually, because Apollo dominated a lot of the match, surprisingly, but at the end of the day, it's just too much power, man. Lashley's too strong. Lashley's too big. You ain't getting that one. That belt ain't going nowhere for a while. And even in the end, when the match was over, the Hurt Business was taking celebratory pictures, and they were posing for the camera, and then Apollo came in and tried to break up the party. I didn't like the fact that they made Apollo look like a sore loser, but I'm like, come on, bro, you got beat. You got beat straight up fair and square, nobody cheated. MVP and Benjamin didn't touch you, they didn't get involved. You tapped out to the full Lashley. You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap. So, kudos. I want to see what they're going to do with Lashley as United States Champion, because Lord knows what's going on with the WWE title. I honestly want Lashley to become the WWE champion. I want him to beat Drew McIntyre for that belt, but McIntyre is hurt for the moment, so the belt's in limbo. So until then, until we find out what the hell Drew McIntyre is doing, that makes Lashley the number one champion on Raw. So can't wait to see Raw tomorrow. Can't wait to see the Hurt Business celebration, because I'm all in, baby. Let's get it popping, and let's see what they got in store for Lashley, Benjamin, and MVP going forward. Next up, one-on-one action, Big E versus Sheamus, and so far it looks like WWE, they're going all in on this Big E singles push. He defeated Sheamus very convincingly. There was one moment where he had where Big E had Sheamus down, and then he did the hand on the head and tried to do the swiveling of the hips, and it kind of backfired on him. So they're still trying to play up the whole you're doing the little jokey stuff. But after that was over, he got 100% serious. He whooped on Sheamus, hit him with the big ending, and then after the match was over, he walked over to Corey Graves and was yelling at Corey Graves, talking about, if you don't feel what I just did, then you don't feel me. Feel the power. So I want to see where this goes. I mean, let's be real. We all know that Roman Reigns is going to win the title tonight. And, there was conversation before, from Big E himself. He said that back in the day, WWE was trying to decide whether to push him or whether to push Roman Reigns, and they decided to go with Roman Reigns. So who knows? We might revisit this, and then once Roman Reigns becomes Universal Champion, maybe we'll get a heel Roman Reigns versus a face Big E for the championship going forward. And I'd be down for that because those two can really get it in, and we'll see what happens with the Big E push and see how long it continues. Then came the one-on-one match between Matt Riddle and Baron Corbin. And surprise to no one, Matt Riddle picks up the victory with a spinning senton off the top rope. Though I will say this, Baron Corbin did put up a good match. Like, it wasn't like he even got the sneak on him. Like when the match started, when Matt Riddle was doing his entrance, he came, Corbin clothesline Riddle from behind to try to get a cheap advantage. And Corbin put on a good fight. Corbin actually put up a good match. Like, I can't even front. And then even when the match was over, Matt Riddle tried to have an interview, and then while he was trying to be interviewed, Corbin ran up on him from behind and started beating his ass. So apparently this beef ain't over. But again, no one's shocked that Matt Riddle beat Baron Corbin at the pay-per-view. So, yes, I guess Riddle will not be moving on to a new challenger or a new opponent. He will continue this feud with Baron Corbin, and this is going God knows where. But we're here for it, and we'll see how their feud continues to progress going forward. Then we had the women's tag team championship, the role models Sasha and Bayley versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. And I'm actually surprised how this turned out. Like, in the end of the match, Shayna Baszler put Sasha Banks in... I missed it when she put I don't know if it was a figure four or an Indian deathlock or something. She put some sort of leg lock on Sasha Banks, and then at the same time, she put Bayley in the rear choke, and then, Sasha tried to crawl out of it, and then she tried to stop Bayley from tapping out to the chokehold, and then Shayna grabbed Sasha's arm. While Shayna had Sasha Banks in this leg lock, she used Sasha's arm, wrapped it around Bayley's neck, and choked Bayley out with her own partner. Damn. And so Bayley tapped out, and Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are the new women's champions. And Nia Jax was acting a fool when this was over. She was jumping all over the place, making faces. And, the thing about it is, it's like, everybody was making the jokes, like, no belts Banks, one belt Bayley. But in all honesty, like, the two of them couldn't have all the gold forever. Like, we knew at some point, like Sasha wasn't even a Raw superstar, so... it's like technically she never should have got the Raw Women's Championship, so for her keeping it for a month wasn't a big deal. We knew that they were eventually going to lose the tag team belts because now the rift between Sasha and Bayley will begin, and there's nothing holding them back or keeping them together, quote unquote. In the end, because Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are actually singles competitors, they're not actually tag team competitors. When those two finally do lose the belt, because remember, they're not friends and they don't get along, when the two of them finally implode, I actually hope they lose the belts to the Riott Squad, because Liv and Ruby deserve it. It'd be nice to see those two with some championship gold. But yeah, good match. It was definitely a good women's tag team match, and I look forward to seeing the storylines on both sides progressing going forward. This brings us to the one-on-one match with Randy Orton and Keith Lee. The match wasn't that long. It was a good match, but it wasn't a long match. There was a lot of it's Randy Orton, so Randy Orton's gonna he's gonna showcase his talent, showcase his skill. They let Keith Lee look good at the same time, but I gotta be honest, I'm surprised. I am shocked. I am literally standing here shocked. Towards the end of the match, Orton went for an RKO. Keith Lee blocked the RKO, and he turned Orton around and got Orton up for that last ride powerbomb that he does. And, with the 1, 2, 3, he beat Randy Orton. So I'm just like, wow. So Big E got the win, Lashley got the win, Keith Lee got the win. So I'm like, the only black folk that take an L tonight, was Sasha Banks and Apollo Crews. No, but it was, I'm surprised. Like, kudos to Randy Orton for, for doing the favors or the JOB, doing it for Keith Lee, because they need more stars on Raw. They definitely need more attractions on Raw, and this is gonna be big for Keith Lee. Like I said, I really don't know what to say, because I'm honestly surprised that he beat him. I knew he could beat him, I knew he was supposed to beat him, but at the same time, I didn't think they would let him beat him. So kudos to Keith Lee, kudos to Randy Orton. And now that Keith Lee has this big victory under his belt, I definitely want to see what happens tomorrow on Raw. Next up was the family tag between Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio and Dominic. And it's not a secret. Like, I honestly haven't been a fan of this entire feud. Like, I'm not really that invested. I did like Dominic's performance at SummerSlam, though, and, he followed it up again today. He had a good performance. But obviously they did a little dissension teasing. They had Buddy Murphy accidentally kick Seth Rollins in the face, which took him out of play. Dominic was able to hit a 619, come off the top rope with a frog splash, and he got the win. He got the pin on Buddy Murphy. So Dominic gets his revenge for the SummerSlam loss, and both now the Mysterio family reigns supreme. And like I said, I really don't care about the feud. I honestly don't care about the feud, but it is nice to see Dominic coming along as a professional wrestler. So, maybe hopefully now that he's gotten a win under his belt, and they've hopefully put an end to this whole Mysterio Seth Rollins situation, maybe he'll go to NXT and then he'll start a brand new career, and then we can watch the kid progress. Good match, no complaints, and we're moving on. And finally, the main event was the Universal Championship match: Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt for the Blue Universal Championship. When the match started, Roman still had not signed the contract, so The Fiend went first, which I thought was weird. And then, you find out why. The Fiend gets in the ring, and then while his music's still playing, Strowman just comes out of nowhere and starts beating his ass. Strowman and The Fiend, because it was like brawl, no holds barred or whatever. So they were fighting all over the place, beating each other up, beating each other to a bloody pulp. And then when Roman never came out, I was just like, oh, okay, I know what's going to happen. He's going to wait until the very last second until something big happens. Then he's going to come out, sign the contract, and then he's going to sneak in and get the pin. And that's pretty much what happened. Like, they did the big man spot where two big guys were on the top rope, one big man suplexes the other big man, and then when they go crashing down, the ring explodes. The referee, I think it was Charles Robinson, the referee, you can actually, like, if you go back and watch, when the ring explodes, you see the referee trying to fall out of the ring, and then because of how, like, the ropes kind of like closed in on each other, he couldn't fall out he couldn't fall like through the ropes. So if you look carefully, you can actually see him throwing himself over the top rope just so he can land on the floor, which was obvious as all hell. But Roman came in. He didn't get the victory right away because Strowman put up a fight, the Fiend put up a fight, and then Roman kicked the Fiend in the nuts. Hit Strowman with the spear, and no surprise to anybody, Roman Reigns is the new Universal Champion. Braun Strowman should be out of the mix now because he lost the title at SummerSlam. He had his championship rematch, and he lost his championship rematch. So now going forward, the next match should be straight up one-on-one between Roman Reigns and The Fiend, which I guess makes The Fiend the face, which I'm not particularly excited about, a face Fiend, but we'll see what happens. So that's a decent, like I said, like, it wasn't a surprise. Like, we all knew how that match was going to unfold, and it turned out exactly the way we thought. So that was my thoughts for WWE Payback 2020. I have to say, this was a really good show. It was almost like SummerSlam Part 2, because a lot of the matches on the card, you can tell were matches that they wanted to put on SummerSlam, but they couldn't fit on SummerSlam. So they're just like, all right, we'll get you next week because we can't get you on the card today. But aside from that, like, it was actually good. Like, even, from the the only thing that was I don't want to say lackluster, but the only thing that wasn't exciting was the Universal title match, because we all knew Roman was going to win. But every single match on the card, whether you loved the participants, you loved the feud, you hated it or not, like, every match was competitive, every match was good. So this was a damn good pay-per-view. Like, I give this pay-per-view a solid 9. Like, definitely like a solid 9, because SummerSlam was an 8 for me, and TakeOver was like a 5. So it's one of those rare occasions when, like, both main roster shows actually do better than NXT TakeOver. But good pay-per-view, good payback. The next pay-per-view is 4 weeks, which is Night of Champions. I'm definitely watching Raw, definitely watching SmackDown. We got the NXT Super Tuesday coming up, and I'm invested now based on what I've seen tonight. I'm invested, and I want to know what happens in every storyline going forward, and I will definitely be tuning in. So thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about the pay-per-view. What match was your favorite? What match was the worst for you? Let's get a conversation started. And then we'll just keep putting some stuff up, and then we'll ride it all the way to. So that's it. Icon signing off for WWE's Payback. Take care, guys, and until next time, as always, I'm out this bitch.